Let's look at 3 things Ruto does compared to what Singapore did, then you be the judge. Is Ruto taking us the Singapore way? Au ni stories za jaba? On State House visits, President Ruto spends 5 billion a month, or simply 200 million a day, on what he calls Meet the People development tours. Mr. President, do you honestly believe this spending spree on non-developmental programs is how Singapore moved from third world to first world? On governance, Singapore appoints experts to portfolio positions and enforces accountability. President Ruto spends heavily on advisors and has made politically convenient appointments that weaken technical capacity. Take the Ministry of Health, for example. It's run by teachers, not medical practitioners. CS Duale has a business education degree, and the PS ni Mwalimu Mary Morioki. Do you think SHA will ever work? On housing, Singapore's Housing and Development Board is a public housing authority that builds, maintains, and manages homes without robbing citizens' payslips via housing levy. In Kenya, President Ruto robs Kenyans' payslips through the housing levy, then uses that levy as a financing tool to build houses, only to resell those houses back to Kenyans at a profit. President Ruto, Singapore is not a slogan to be used every now and then. To achieve Singapore status, you require institutions that are working, technical competence, and public consent, not slogans. Mr. President, Singapore is a developmental package, not a slogan.
Singapore is a dirt poor country. Even the water they drink and flush in their toilets is imported from Malaysia. It's just a city. They have no forests, no rivers, no lakes, no nothing. Their energy is 100% from imported natural gas turbines. So we cannot aspire to be poor when we are rich.
Yes. We have the resources.
We are aspiring. In the world today, fresh water, biodiversity, and land and minerals, that is the wealth, not these papers. We cannot turn our back on wealth and pursue poverty in the name of wanting to be like Singapore.
Yeah, you know, I love that you've brought Singapore up, because I was also, I'm really tired of being compared to Singapore. Kenya just wants to be Kenya.
Yes.
By the way, at the end of the day, we don't want to be like, we want to be Kenya, you know?
Yes.
And I was listening to this guy, Oparanya, and he made a statement, and he told people, you know, when he was vouching for the affordable housing, and he was there telling people to leave their farms and then come and live in these houses that the government has built, these flats. And I'm like, how do you tell your people to leave their farms, their resources, number one, their resources, and come live in this concrete jungle?
You leave your wealth to come and live in poverty.
There you go, because we want to be like Singapore, who have zero resources.
Zero land, zero water, and anything. And it's also important to read history, because if you look at the geography, there's the Straits of Singapore, which is a very important shipping route, has always been since for hundreds of years. And the British Empire during the colonial days was basically a criminal enterprise. They decided we can either bomb ships passing through here and extort money from them if they want to pass. That's how Singapore started. It was like a Mungiki thing. And then that's how that started. And it's just a city that, so now they just live on tax. It's like what we can call a wash economy. Doesn't produce, doesn't export, but just extorts, including from its own people. No, we don't want to be like that. And you see, there's a very careful policy in Kenya. What Oparanya was saying, that's government policy. They want to get people off the land. Our current agriculture policy document, which is, I think it's valid, it was produced during the previous Uhuru Kenyatta administration. I think it's 2019 to 2029. It actually expressly says we want to remove farmers from the production chain and put them just in the value addition chain. And it also says we want to increase consumption of processed foods in Kenya. That is written in government policy. And you remember it included all sorts of strange things, like they were outlawing use of manure. You can't take your manure and put in your mboga garden. They wanted to outlaw sale of milk, selling milk to your neighbor. You know, if you have a cow, you milk yourself. They wanted to outlaw all that. They outlawed the exchange of seeds of
of course.
Yes,
Our indigenous seeds.
it's all under that. It's all under that. So, and that is to get people off the land. It's the same thing that now you let Kenya Meat Commission die.
Yeah.
You let Kenya Leather Industries die, and things that support livestock production, because you want to get those pastoralists off the land,
Yeah.
so that the land can be now sold to capitalists in exchange for these papers called dollars. So it's part of policy, and it's disastrous. The more of our people that can see the wrong in that, the better for us.
Yes.
Yeah, and like the affordable housing, I've seen them built in rural areas, and I wonder, here in Shags here, who wants to live in this flat here? In fact, many of us who are in towns,
We want
are
to
working
go
hard
back to Shag, to go
we are
back
working
to
hard
Shags.
to get a place in Shags.
Yes.
Yeah, where I can go and relax.
Yeah. But also, I remember back to carbon credits, the offsets, etc., etc. I remember doing this story in Kajiado, and I met a lot of young people. And I remember calling you, and I'm like, Mordecai, what am I looking at? Here you have young people who have decided, no, we are not going to lease our land, and our parents are not going to lease this land on our behalf, right?
Yeah.
So does it speak to a generation that is awake, and a generation that still thinks their resources are not important?
Yeah, and I think that's the generation in which I have hope. These 20-something from sort of mid-20s and between 18 and mid-20s, because they're sort of growing up looking at, they're seeing things for what they are. They're being told, and what they're doing is so simple. They're being told, like in the case of that carbon credit thing,
Yes.
they're being offered, this land they were being offered this fee of $2 per hectare per year. And you only need 2 minutes to sit and realize that is 250 shillings for a hectare for a year. And you realize that's rubbish. That can't even buy lunch.
Yes.
And you tell them, and you just say no. And the thing is, their parents' generation are those who got caught up in the propaganda, and they believe that especially that something that's brought by a mzungu is good. Because if I went or you went and offered $2 per hectare per year, they didn't go and
Acha jokes.
yeah. What's wrong with you? Yeah. But somehow this company called Soils for the Future, carbon credits and all that, they've come there and they offer this, and suddenly people are saying, okay, so we are ready to sign, and we are getting some small handouts, and they're signing this for these kind of things. So that's the reason. And the important thing to know is that if Soils for the Future Carbon is based in Syracuse in New York, it's headquartered there, why aren't they doing it, carbon trading, in upstate New York, in the Adirondack Mountains, where there's huge forests there? What do you mean Kajiado, Kenya? You have to think, has he come here because he loves me?
Of course.
Or has he come here because I'm special? He could have gone anywhere else in the world, but why has he come here? And that's being done against the backdrop. In the same Kajiado County, we have the Magadi soda, which is a lease of 250,000 acres, including the lake and lots of land around it, which was leased 1924 for 100 years, which expired last year. And this is what they should be given. This should be going back to them instead of coming to take more land away from them. This is what should be given to the Kajiado County government instead of the pretext we saw of them being given Amboseli Park. So these are diversions from the...
I didn't see it that way.
Yes.
Because I'm...
They're being told, first of all, I can tell you, the Amboseli and Nakuru are the two parks that basically run KWS. They're the ones that make serious money. And maybe Nairobi.
Yes.
KWS cannot survive without Amboseli National Park. there is no park that has been given to anybody, because these are created by acts of parliament and ordinances, and I didn't hear any of that go through parliament. It is not part of the president's purview to just hand over a park. But these are to divert from that. If Kajiado County government got Magadi given to them, they can even shut down all other revenue things. That Magadi alone can run Kajiado County government with no equitable share, even money coming from national government. That's how valuable that is. But somehow this has been extended in some fishy way, but everyone's excited, jumping up and down about Amboseli. Tumepewa Amboseli, but what about Magadi?
So Amboseli is a distraction.
This is a distraction.
That is sad to hear.
But that's what's going on everywhere. Be it around the carbon credits, be it the conservancies around the Mara, the placement of that Ritz-Carlton, and so many. I mean, it's good people that Ritz-Carlton thing has made people wake up to this. But there are tens of camps and lodges that are violating that environment in so many ways. There are tens of them, maybe 100.
Yes.
But it's good this one has woken us up. Now we live and see the other ones.